Welcome back, friends. This is the late summer tour of my 2024 garden. Let's get started. Hey guys, so this is the updated garden tour. Today is August 8th, 2024, and this is what the late summer garden looks like. So I'm gonna give you a quick tour around to see what we have going on. This is my white zucchini, which this guy really needs to get picked. I didn't see that one. She's pretty big. So this is the one from Baker Creek that I got. It's called White of Palermo. This ended up being good. I am gonna grow this again next year. It's a little bit sweeter than a normal zucchini, but still very similar. So that's what's going on here. Those are looking great. Sorry, my chickens are fighting over there if you hear a lot of noise in the background. But then over here we have the green beans. I've already harvested a bunch of these. I think I have about 30 jars canned already of the green beans, but they're still doing okay. I'm starting to see some dying off here, which is okay because we are getting into the later part of the season and that is natural. I do not use any pesticides. I don't use any chemical fertilizers or anything. The only fertilizer I use is manure from our animals and just compost, like our kitchen scraps, like banana peels, eggshells, that kind of thing. So everything in my garden is all natural. I don't, sorry about the rooster. I don't use anything. I don't spray with anything. So that's why you will see some disease or some pests and things like that. But I'm okay with that because I'd rather have food that is not poisoned and just have the plants die off a little quicker than having poisoned food. So anyway, this is my pumpkins. I grow small sugar pumpkins, so that's what these are. They're not the big giant kind. And some of them have started turning orange over here. Let me find some. So the first signs of fall, look at that. We have some orange ones there and some up there. So it's actually kind of nice when these vines die back because it makes it easier to find the pumpkins. So I don't mind that at all. So anyways, that is what's over here. Got the pumpkins. Down here we have, you can see the pumpkins really like grew through into the next row, which I figured that would happen, but that's okay. Down here we have yellow squash, and I didn't think to take this video before I harvested it, so I just harvested a bunch there. But we have some yellow squash still growing in here. Let me find some little baby ones. Like there's a little baby one there growing. So that's the yellow squash. In the middle here, we have my attempt at growing kohlrabi for my mother-in-law because she likes that, but for some reason it's just not taking well in our soil. I'll have to try maybe doing it in a container or something. So I tried, but that didn't work out. This is the cucumber, and you can see I do need to harvest these cucumbers. They're getting pretty fat. So I'll have to dig through there and see what I can pull out today. My chickens are very vocal today. I apologize for that again. So this is where I did have my broccolini, but that is a cool weather crop, so that is done for the season. I have just been kind of like pulling out the plants and feeding them to the chickens because they love munching on the leaves. And as you can see, so do some other critters in the garden, but that's all right. So these, I am so excited that these even survived because this is the Chinese string eggplant that I was trying out from Baker Creek for the first time this year. And the entire season, they've looked like this. You know, they were like totally chewed up. I didn't think they were gonna make it. I just prayed over them, and I am so excited because this actually did produce eggplant and they have more flowers on them now. So I'm hoping I'll actually get to try these. But these are what the Chinese string eggplants look like. So again, this is my first time growing it. I'm excited to try it out, see how those taste, but they managed to hang in there and survive. So I'm excited about that. This was a volunteer tomato that just planted itself this year. Over here, we have, I was very disappointed that the seeds that I bought from the store, because I forgot to buy them online, I just got some from Walmart. I planted lima beans and like almost none of them germinated. I was so disappointed. But I did have a few lima beans left over from last year in my freezer, and so I planted those, and that's what these are. I do have some little seed pods there. So that's exciting. I'll have to look around and see if there's any ready to pick, but that's lima beans. Over here we have our cantaloupe, and these are starting to get big. Also, looks like they have some cucumber beetles munching away on them, so hopefully they will ripen before that, before the beetles kill off the plants. But I do have some cantaloupes here, some in there, and some down there. Over here, the end of this row here, and these 2 rows here, both of those rows, that's all black beans. I love black beans. We eat a lot. So what you do with these is you let them dry on the plant. So I'm not gonna pick any of these while they're green. You gotta wait till they dry out, and then you harvest them, and then you can store them dry. So that's what I have in this section. Let's move up here. So up here, and it has been crazy busy. The kids are already back in band camp. All 3 of them do band. School year's almost starting, and we just got back from vacation, so there's a lot going on, which is why you see so many weeds, but that's okay. The food is still growing, it's no big deal. So these are my sunflowers, this whole row here. And hopefully these seed heads will get a lot bigger before they are done growing, because the purpose of this is to feed my chickens for the winter, to give them some extra protein when the bugs aren't out. So these are black oil sunflowers. Oh, I passed up, sorry. I got the blueberry bush. This is one of the 2 that I just bought this year from our favorite blueberry grower. But unfortunately, the birds got to all the blueberries before we did, so I didn't actually get any blueberries from it. It did produce though. This is a cherry tree that is not looking so great. I don't know what's going on with that. The other blueberry bush, again, same thing. The critters got to the blueberries before we did. This is our peach tree, which is very young, so it doesn't produce yet, but that's hanging out there. Down here, we have our sweet corn. And we have a couple rows of sweet corn here. It is starting to grow. It's not quite ready to pick yet, but you can see where we're at here with the sweet corn. This is kind of funny. So this sunflower fell over in a storm, and I thought it was dead. Look at this, the root system, it completely fell over sideways, and I thought, oh, this one will be dead. Well, apparently it just decided to grow sideways and then reach up for the sun, so it's still alive. I'm very impressed with this guy. Hopefully that sunflower does well. But all right, let's go check out the other section of the garden. Okay, so down here, this is an area where I had cool weather crops. This was lettuce, cabbage, and peas. So those crops are done for the season. That's why I just let this go and let the wildflowers grow up to feed the bees. And I will clear this all out before I planted it again, but for now it can just be a pollinator garden. Over here, okay, this is just my bad. This got really overgrown, but this is red potatoes on this side, sweet potatoes on that side. I have had this on my to-do list for weeks that I wanted to rip all this out, harvest the potatoes, and then plant carrots for the fall. So that's the goal for this one, is I want to put carrots in there sometime as soon as possible before it gets too late. This is where I had my carrots and onions. I have already harvested those, the ones that I planted in the spring. So this bed is empty right now, but I will be putting, I believe, like lettuce and cabbage and spinach and that kind of stuff in here for the fall. So that's what that's gonna be. Again, this was another spring bed for the cool weather crops, lettuce, cabbage, peas. So again, I just let that go, let the wildflowers grow up for now, let that feed the bees, and I will clear that out when I'm ready to plant in it again. This is our sweet peppers and our regular eggplant. So we do have some nice peppers growing here. I like to let them get red. I prefer red peppers instead of green, so I just leave them on the plants as long as possible, but it looks like I have some ready to pick. These are the lipstick peppers that I'm trying out for the first time this year. I haven't tried any yet, but obviously I can try some today, it looks like. So I'll try those out. That was another Baker's Creek thing. These are the Black Beauty eggplants, and looks like I do have some growing there. Not quite ready to harvest, but we have some good growth happening. So excited about that. These are the YOLO Wonder, just the regular bell peppers, sweet bell peppers. So we have some peppers growing there. Oh, I see a red one. I'm going in for a closer look. Yeah, that one's, oh, that looks like that might have some rot on it. Probably throw that one out. But most of them are still green, as you can see, but yeah, we'll come and harvest some of that stuff later. We got some nice looking peppers on there. So they grew pretty well. Let's see. All right, tomatoes. So this is the tomatoes and the lime basil. The lime basil turned out to be delicious, by the way. I use it to flavor my water. I put some lime juice and some of that basil in my water. It's delicious. But we have our Hungarian heart tomatoes here, and this is a little too crowded, I will say. This definitely got too crowded. I would space this out a lot more in future years, but because I had the basil with the tomatoes, I did not have a single tomato hornworm all season long. That is why I plant the basil next to the tomatoes, to keep the hornworms off of the tomatoes, and it works like a charm. So every year that I've been doing that, I haven't had any hornworms, but we have a lot of, looks like some red tomatoes down there I need to harvest. This side is the San Marzano tomatoes. Again, it's really crowded in here, and this is not ideal for tomatoes. Let me just be honest with you. You want airflow around your tomatoes to avoid like fungus and rot and things like that. It worked out that it was just like a really dry summer, so I didn't have as many problems with that this year, but there still is a little bit more rot than usual because it was not given proper airflow, and that's just, you know, it was planted too close together. But these are the San Marzano tomatoes in there. And so then over here, yeah, this is another area that was just like a kind of a total fail this year. I mean, I'm still getting fruit from it, but I didn't take care of it. It was just, it got pushed to the bottom of the priority chart. But I have 4 cherry tomato plants in and amongst this mess of wildflowers here. So I do have one here, one over there, and then one there and one there, which kind of hard to see through all the weeds. Again, this area did not get kept up with as much as the other areas, but you can only do what you can do. I'm a busy mom. What are you gonna do? So there's some more San Marzano tomatoes in there, and I have some more Hungarian heart down there, and again, there's more lime basil mixed in between. So yeah, that's growing like out of the fence. I'm gonna have to harvest some of that today. But again, you can only do what you can do with the time that you have. I do have a little bit of kale left here that, like, a couple leaves aren't totally destroyed by cabbage worms, but most of it is. I've just been throwing that to the chickens for the most part. They love cabbage leaves, so have that. Down here, this is spaghetti squash. This is looking pretty good down here. I am starting to see, I think, a little bit of evidence of vine borers coming down here, especially over there. But again, usually I can harvest what I need before the plants die off, so that's fine. You know, that's just something that happens when you don't spray with chemicals, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, so this is supposed to be spaghetti squash. However, that certainly looks like a pumpkin to me, doesn't it? Somehow must have gotten a seed mixed up. I don't remember who I ordered the spaghetti squash from. I think it was Baker Creek, but apparently somebody mixed up a seed. But most of this is actually spaghetti squash. So I have spaghetti squash growing here, have some there, have one here. And again, this is another thing, like, that was supposed to be spaghetti squash. However, that is definitely not a spaghetti squash. It's some kind of squash, but not spaghetti. So I think they had some cross-pollination going on at their seed company, which happens from time to time. Hey, maybe I'll find out I like some kind of new variety that I didn't know about. So we'll just go with it. All right, over here is the regular zucchini, which I get the Black Beauty zucchini. This one doesn't seem like it really has much on it right now. I have harvested so much zucchini. I've literally been giving it away by the bucket load. I have so much in the freezer. The freezer's full, but there's one. Oh my goodness. Oh, I thought that got away from me. This one actually was on purpose. I left this here on purpose to use it as my seed zucchini for next year. But this looks like I will need to pick it at this point because it's starting to turn orange. So I don't want it to rot before I get my seeds off of it. So it's time to pick that and harvest it for seed. And again, you see evidence of, like, you know, some not healthy plants, but like I said, I've already harvested so much that I couldn't possibly fit any more in my freezer. So it's okay that the plants are gonna die off now. I'm cool with that. And I am all zucchini'd out for the summer. But this is also another zucchini. I'll check that later and see if there's any more to harvest. So up here, we have butternut squash in this whole section here. And again, the vines are starting to die, but we have a lot of big butternut squashes on the vine. That one's kind of weird looking, but you get that. That one there. I have some big ones over there. You can probably see that one. So the butternut is kind of like all growing down through the watermelon, which, oh no. Well, I have one watermelon that rotted. I'll need to toss that, but have some good ones looking there. There's that. And a bunch of watermelons in there. Still looking good. And that's the other thing, you know, like, you will have rot, you will have disease, like that one. I'm gonna have to toss that one. Sometimes bugs will chew into it and it'll rot, and that happens. But you just plant more than what you think you'll need. And when some rots, it doesn't matter. You keep the ones that are good. The ones that rot, just go to compost. So no big deal. But look at all these watermelons here, looking good. And that's most of the garden. I'll actually go over into the other section to show you what is over by the chickens. All right, so here we have the grapes. We have lots of grapes on the vine, looking good. We have 3 grapevines over here, all along here. So those are all loaded up with grapes. Some of them are starting to turn purple down here. Sorry, now you got the noise from the lawnmower. My husband's mowing the grass. But we got some turning purple down there, so that's exciting. This tree, for whatever reason, did not produce any apples this year. Last year it did. This year it did not. This is a Jonathan apple tree. Not sure what happened there. Now, again, this is a total mess of weeds, but my gardening style, if you want to call it a style, is to focus my energy on what is producing right now. So this section of the garden I harvested in the spring. This is mostly like herbs, strawberries, raspberries, that kind of thing. That all gets harvested early. So that stuff is no longer a priority to me because I already got my harvest. So I just let the weeds grow up. And again, it feeds the pollinators, you know, it brings biodiversity to the garden. So all this is where I did have spring berries that have already been harvested. And I will rip this all out in the winter and start fresh next year. But again, there's only so many hours in a day. I'm a busy mom. I can't do everything in a garden this size. And so the areas of the garden that I am not currently harvesting from, I just leave it alone. I just let it go to weeds and I deal with it in the winter when it's easy to pull them out. So that's why you will see so many weeds here. This section of the garden has already been harvested. I do have one tree over here I want to check on though, because it got knocked over during a tornado. We've had several tornadoes this year. I live in an area where we normally don't get very many, but every once in a while we do. And this summer we've just had dozens of tornadoes. It's been insane up in Western Pennsylvania. My whole Honeycrisp apple tree snapped at the bottom and fell over. And unfortunately, I mean, it was loaded up with apples too, but it looks like they are still ripening. Like, this happened weeks ago when the apples were still green, and they are actually turning red. So I think I'm gonna harvest them anyways and just try them out and see if they're still okay. It must still be getting some kind of nourishment from the root in order for the apples to not be dead, and like the leaves are still green. So I guess that's another thing I'm just gonna leave for now. In the winter, when it's dormant, I'll try to prop it back up and see if I can like maybe tape it or something, see if it'll come back. But ooh, I totally forgot. Over here, I do have one variety of raspberries that, let me let the lawnmower pass. Okay, sorry about that. This is an active farm. There's lawnmowers going, there's chickens crowing. That's just, you get what you get. That's real life. But I do have this one variety of raspberry that is called Double Gold, which produces in the fall as well as the spring, which I kind of forgot about. So these are starting to come back in, so I will have to check this out and harvest some of these. This is the color that they get when they're ripe. They're like a blush peachish color. They are delicious. I love these. They're my favorite raspberries. So I'll come back over here later and pick those. Okay, so over here, we planted some buckwheat. There's rose colored buckwheat, it's like the pink flowers, and then there's also white buckwheat down there. We planted that all along the outer area of the chickens' pen. Hi, baby. How you doing, sweet pea? It's a good girl. Oh, and there's my buddy. Yeah. So anyways, we planted this buckwheat here, and that's doing pretty well, actually. It's my first time growing buckwheat. And I think I'm gonna let it go to seed and then harvest the seeds, because I actually eat it. I was gonna feed it to the chickens, but they don't really seem interested. You know, I put it in a place where they could eat it through the fence, and they have not been interested in eating it. So I guess it's for me. Hi, chickies, say hi. Hi, babies. So they're hanging out, okay. Then over here next to the chickens, this is the dent corn, which is drying corn that you let dry out, and you can use that for flour or just to feed to the chickens. I'm probably gonna grind it up and mix it in with the chickens' food in the winter just to save some money on food bills. But that is all like non-GMO, natural, obviously. So that's what's over here. I do have some blackberries here that I just transferred. I transplanted them to this area this year. So they haven't really taken off yet, but they are alive. You can see the leaves there. So by next year, I'm sure they will be producing. I do have like one little blackberry there that's still green, but this one's looking good. This whole plant here, next year that'll give off berries, so that's good. But that's pretty much where the garden's at for now. And like I said, there's a lot of weeds, but again, you can only do what you can do, and I prioritize with what I am harvesting at the time. So my chickens and I thank you for watching, and we will catch you guys next time. Bye-bye, guys.